This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today I want to talk about the fact that you get what you tolerate. Now, this was interesting once I learnt the concept and then really started to look at my life with this lens. It's almost like every single one of these podcasts, you could almost call it a lens. It's like, right, that's interesting. And what's really crucial to sort of grasp is that just because we've heard something and it conceptually makes sense doesn't mean we actually really embody it or understand it. And so the power then is being able to take that and learn in awareness learning, or what I call flow learning, and apply it again and again and again and start to see where it actually makes sense and where it resonates in day-to-day life. And so understanding this concept and then getting me to actually look into my life and see what, where am I tolerating things that in the future I probably will snap about it or will stop tolerating it or something along those lines? Or is there something that I'm tolerating that is against my values, and why am I letting that person impact me like that? Or why am I letting and only tolerating it from that individual and not from other people? And there's so many insights that we can get from this, and I encourage you to have a look at this with your own self, and maybe if you work with someone like a mentor or a coach or anyone, then this is some work that can be unpacked with that as well. But where I want to go with this conversation is the concept of you get what you tolerate is in bed with the concept of you get what you're willing to receive, right? Now, there's times within our life where we may accept being treated poorly by a particular individual, and we fucking hate it. We hate it for so many reasons. But as soon as that person then maybe texts us again, or emails or calls or likes something, we sort of get this rush of almost dopamine or some form of endorphins or something, and then we see it, catch ourselves doing it, and it's like this pattern that we just get back into. But it's this one person or a group of people or something like that. And the question worth asking is well, who is this person really representing as? Is it this actual individual that I'm trying to seek this from? And why am I letting them treat me like this, and then I keep coming back? And what we have to be really mindful of is that if we're tolerating something, we're actually enabling it. So we're enabling this individual to treat us in a particular way. And it really gives us a really good insight into how we see the value of ourselves. Now, this is very powerful because we may hold our head up high and value ourselves very high, and then we let someone treat us so poorly. Now, as I'm talking, I want to put a little disclaimer here. I'm talking about someone treating us poorly, but I also want you to have a look at this and see if there's people that mean something to you that you treat poorly, but you just brush off because they keep coming back. You may be the person that, and I dare say you're probably both. I know I've been both for sure. But if you're tolerating it from someone, maybe you're dishing it to someone else. Something to consider. So going back to my point of if you're enabling this behavior, you're not teaching this person how to treat you, because you get what you're willing to receive. What that means is that you're letting this person treat you that way because you feel that's how you deserve to be treated by this particular type or this particular individual. Why is that the case? Where does that stem from? Do I want to be treated this way, or do I want to be treated differently, but I'm afraid to talk about it? I'm afraid to bring it up because they'll respond a particular way. Why do I seek approval from this person? So on and so forth. And it's up to us. Maybe the reason why we feel that way is not our fault, right? Maybe it's from childhood patterns. Maybe it's because we wanted to be accepted by the cool kids at school, whatever it might be. What we need to look at here is, am I devaluing my own worth because I'm looking for approval or love in someone else's eyes or opinion? And maybe that person is doing the exact same thing. Maybe they're looking for someone's approval or love by someone else. Maybe the exact same pattern is being done by them with something else, and they can't give you approval or love because they're seeking it outside of themselves as well. They're doing the exact same thing you are. Maybe it's time to realize that what you're seeking in this person's approval or behavior is actually not outside of you. Maybe it's the understanding that maybe you've always done this. And where does that come from? Well, how can I change that? It's a great question. It's like, how can I not seek this person's approval? Or how can I at least have the conversation with this person and go, I don't want to be treated like this anymore, and then actually see change? Well, here's something that's so crucial for you to understand, is that for them to change is out of your control. So we can't change their behavior. We can't change the way that they treat us. We can only change the way that we act. And the world responds. The universe responds to us. I remember thinking back a little while ago, and with my beautiful partner, I remember thinking that there was times where she kind of mothered me. And then I had to have this conversation with myself, and I'm like, it's because I was being a boy. Not all the time. But when she went into like mothering, it's because I was not being a man. She didn't mother me when I was in my full healthy masculine energy, or whatever you want to call it. She didn't mother me then. She only mothered me when I was actually acting a boy. And I'm like, fuck. Shit, that means it's my fault. Which means it's something that I can deal with and I can change. And when I continue to be more and evolve more and grow more and become more intuitive to who I was at that point in time in my life, rather than reverting back to the little helpless boy, then I noticed that she started to change how she interacted with me as well. But it also didn't matter to me anymore, because what I was seeking was sort of the love and approval, but I wanted to be a man, and I was seeking that from someone else. I was seeking it through the way that they acted towards me, rather than who I felt I was and what I needed to do to become that man. And so when I had that realization, that epiphany, I started to realize I can't change people's behavior or how they treat me. I had to change me. And sometimes that's having difficult conversations. In fact, more often than not, if the difficult conversation isn't with yourself, then it's going to be with someone else. If it's not with someone else, it's going to be with yourself. But you can't avoid the difficult conversation. You can't actually avoid any difficult conversations. You only prolong them. You only prolong difficult conversations. If there's someone that you need to have a conversation with about how you're being treated and what you're willing to tolerate, including yourself, you can't avoid that conversation. You're just putting it off. And it's like the dragon in the cave. The longer you put it off, the stronger and bigger it gets. The stronger and bigger it gets, the stronger and bigger it gets. And then it's going to come and breathe fire over everything you fucking own and know and destroy everything. But you should have addressed it when it was a small dragon. The more difficult conversations we have, the less difficult conversations we have. And the more that we can truly understand that and embody it, the more we can move towards the things that we find fearful. And sure enough, on the other side of fear is freedom. That's why often when we let something off our chest, we feel lighter. Because we've been carrying around this thing. It goes back to that quote, these mountains that you carry, you were only meant to climb. If there's something for you, I really encourage you to consider doing this in this next day, week. Put a time frame on it, but during that period. If there's something that you've been tolerating for too long, maybe it's worth stepping in, with compassion in mind, and letting both either yourself, that's probably number one, because you're actually accepting it, right? You feel like you deserve it, otherwise you wouldn't have it. That's really important to understand. And have the conversation with that person. And let them know that the way that you've been treated, you're not going to tolerate anymore. And then from there on in, you can start, I would call it the healing process. And it's not easy. I'm not fucking giving you easy shit. You know that. It's like, oh, this is really easy. Just take these 2 steps in happiness. No, that's called conditional happiness. It's all false. It's a lie. It's difficult. But you become more of who you are because of it. You shed the bullshit and you stand for something. And the more that we can do that, the more that we can respect ourselves, and therefore we don't need respect from other people. And sure enough, funny enough, when we respect ourselves more, other people respect us. And if they don't, we don't care, because we're not looking for it. Team, I'm out. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd always also share it with someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. If you haven't already, check out Mood Prep online and jump on davenixon.com.au/memberships. If you're a PT, a coach, or an athlete, then check out the Coaches Circle. And I also have some seminars coming up in Canberra. To wind up this year, I've got my 3-day intensive in November, the start of November, and I also have my 1-day connected coaching seminar in Canberra on the 20th of October. You can find more details at either on my Instagram or check out my page, Dave Nixon, or check it out that's on Facebook, that is, by the way, or check it out online, davenixon.com.au. But team, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick the day in the dick, slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
to be everything at once. unbridled and unburdened.